talking about my experience and the way how I happen to be in Australia and what I have achieved, I would like to say that we women, yes, we are powerful and we are strong, but sometimes we need, how can I say, encouragement and support from a very caring person who might be your mother, your father, your friends, and that's why it is good to open up. And saying on that, I would like to thank my husband, David, and I would encourage all men, he's not perfect. As I am not perfect, but I think we in any relationship, and that's what I want to talk about, is that to be able to communicate positively, to be able to share the ups and downs, respecting, to me, this international women, or what other people call international women, to me as a person, I think is International Women and Families Day, so that we will celebrate as a family. But within a family, also in my culture, which is changing every day, a family is not only the nuclear family, as most of the Australian know that they think of a mother and a father. It involves the parents, it involves grandparents, it involves aunts and uncles, and the community as a whole. So when I go back to my growing up in the village, I grew up in a village in Uganda. I don't know if some people know where it is. Mm-hmm. And I was the fourth girl of after 4 boys. And my mother had 11 children, you can imagine. And so being the first girl, I used to be taught how to look after my brothers, how to cook, and to do almost everything. The only thing which also I owed my father and my brother, that he valued education. He was a peasant farmer, and we used to get up very early. I know how to milk cows, I know how to pick coffee, and fetching water from the well. I don't know, maybe some people have grown up with running water, but we did it. And then run to school 6 miles every day without shoes. So I didn't wear shoes when I was going to secondary school. And my first day at school, I was a plastic church, so I was walking. And then going to boarding school, where at that standard in Uganda, because you have to pay for your education. So even to be able to go into a boarding school, if it wasn't my brother who came from a boarding school and said, and I had passed well what they call primary school. But my father and my aunties, they always think, either the girl will get a man for her to marry. And that's what happened to my stepsister. Then my brother put me on a bike, and we traveled almost 20 miles crossing the city from the village. We went to the school, which was Nan's school. I did the interview and I passed it. Then we rode back on the bike on hills, and we were almost 10 miles before reaching our home at night. The bicycle got a puncture. So we had to walk, him pushing the bike until we got home after midnight. Then my father said, my auntie said, no, you have to go to school. So he gave me her bed sheets, a suitcase, and I went to boarding school. So And that's the strong people and that's why I'm here, because of my brother and my mom and my father. So you need a strong support. And coming here, I know I don't have 10 minutes and we are running late. Coming here, I came here as a single girl in the late 70s on scholarship. Then I went back to Uganda. Then I came back as a refugee under Idi Amin period. Most people don't know, you are not born then. Then I tried to get a job as a black woman, single. Though I had the qualifications and experience 1 year here in Australia, it was very hard to get a job in the qualification I had as a librarian. And that's what I tell people, whenever especially women, even young people, whenever you get a job, do your best, and so that your work speaks for yourself. And I did part-time where I'm working, then I did cleaning, you name it, just to maintain myself as a woman. Then I went back to RMIT to upgrade my qualifications. And then where I was working, then I got a job within a government in the library. And then I got another job which was more highly with an organization called the CSRO, which is a scientific research industry organization. And that's where my travels started. And that's when Sylvia was talking about, because when it started, I could just go in the toilet and cry, and then come back and continue. And it was a nasty experience until my son was 2 years, 3 years, no, 2 years, 5 years. So I went home crying, and I would get home and say, "Mom, why don't you give up the job?" So I went, and that's what they were looking for, because I had approached the union. The union didn't want to help me. In fact, they said, I was on probation for more than 8 months. They extended my probation, and they were trying all these things. But what I wanted to get up is that our cultures, they bring us not to answer, respond to your boss, you just keep quiet, and we never choose to shout at me. But lucky enough, people within the department, CSRO, the managers supported me. They even went to the tribunal to be witness, because some of the things she was doing, they were in front of me. And when I resigned, being a librarian, I had collected all the information. So I approached the Equal Opportunity Commission, and they said, "Look, I'm sorry, it's a long story." And then they said, "You have to put in your case. You have a case." I went home, and David said, "TB, that's too much, don't worry." But because I was working with some of the women, helping them just to sewing, and then there was the social, so one of them said, so that's why having friends, as what I mentioned, and people you trust within the community. So if you feel low, if you are facing, I wouldn't say uncomfortable with your husband or with your children, you don't know how to communicate with them, especially teenagers, talk to someone within the community. Or it doesn't have to be a service provider, but then they might know service provider or an agency which can help you. So build a network of trusted people whom you can feel confidence to share with. So this one of the woman who was running the group, she said, "Theresa, why don't you go and talk to the social worker next door in Springville?" I went. This lady, she just said to me, "Bring your material, I'll help you to to compile your history. And I didn't even go back to her. But that courage she gave me, and having someone listening to me. So I wrote the case, and then I went back when she's ready. Said, then we submitted it. And that, having someone to talk to, yes, I could talk to my husband, I could talk to people in the church, but this social worker, she didn't do much but listening to me and empathizing with me, gave me courage to go back at Monash and did a degree in social work. So now, then I became a social worker, which I have been working within the community as a social worker, and mainly with many African communities, but also culturally different groups like Afghan, especially women's groups, and that is where assisting people, empowering them, being there, and also my job, not my job, my passion is empowering people and advocacy. And I have done a lot of sharing experience with mainstream services to work culturally appropriately within the cultural and the sensitive way working with it, especially people from cultural background, and also with the African women. And now I am retired, but but as my husband would, you are working full time. Now it is we are running off to another community event, which also I'm part of the executive, which is the Ugandan community. So breaking the bias being this International Women's theme, I think it starts with me by respecting everybody the way and treating them the way I would like to be treated. And breaking the bias by living by example. Breaking the bias, and I think in such forums like this, and this is me, we shouldn't say women is celebration. We are celebrating the family relationship, the family which I talk to, which includes the community. So I would have loved to see more men here. Did you invite them? Did you invite them? Yes or no? And they refused. They refused. So I'm coming to because with relationship, it is a combination of everybody. When we're talking of relationship building, we have young people, and we grew up, as my daughter would say, oh, this is not Uganda, but they are growing up here. So we have to encourage them to develop a respective relationship with whoever they meet, to be respectful. And that respectful, it comes with the way, with the communication, positive communication. Because the way you talk to someone, whether they are a young person, whether they are your children, and you as a mother or a father, we live by where we should be role models within our families and within the community, by respecting each other, positive communication. You can have communication which is even sort of, how can I put it? When you see someone, especially within the community, even within the family, or treating someone with, especially a woman, putting them down, there's a way you can challenge it, but it does not know the way how we challenge it is to not be aggressive, but a bit more. And people say, oh, that's not it. We shouldn't be hiding family, but you achieve more by being subtle but firm of what you were talking instead of attacking. And with the African Men Families Network, which I have the chairperson, we have done a lot of community empowering. Like we had funding also for family violence relationship program, which was called Strengthening African Communities' Capacity on Relationship Building. Then we had 8 sessions where we first did the consultation with the community, including everybody, men, women, young people. And then we had 8 workshops, and we produced a report of our project. And these workshops, they included positive, respectful communication, what is the family, how do we behave within the family, the law, and the family violence, and the police involvement, plus family, child protection. When people say, oh, if I report my children, they'll be taken up, if I report that I'm suffering from family violence, my children will be taken away. Because they don't know what will be the system, what will be, how it will be done. And when it is too late, and the police get involved, and the child protection get involved, we as a community, we can prevent that. Because that is the end of the relationship. Not to say that people should stay in family violence, but we should try and see, as a community or as people, what can be done, but if we can't, then we pass it on to the people. Or we are not counselors, we are not family violence specialists. So it is up to judge and refer people appropriately. And also the workshops which they had involved, and the young people, it gave them an opportunity to share how they are also, the parents, the young people, the elderly, they are all facing family violence. So we have also to look into all that. How we as parents, how do we treat our young people? Children, which are role models, which are we giving? By shouting, or the husband drinking all the time, or even some women drink. So it should be role models. I don't say don't drink, but which examples you are giving to the young people, to the community? How do you carry yourself? How do you talk to people, respecting people? And within these workshops which we did, now the community went back to the communities and they were talking to the people themselves. You people, you are the power, especially the grassroots. You know how to communicate to your communities. Not being aggressive, but more of organizing formal, like gatherings, formal workshops, including men and young people, and that's what we are doing even with young people. We organize sometimes sports, so empowering them, speaking up with the dignity or with the influence, speaking with the influence, and where we talk about, we invite people and talk about relationships, how to communicate, and even with most of our workshops are all men. It includes men, and especially within the Somali community, they are Muslim men. So it's all men over there, women over here. But now we are coming out where we say, oh no, we are sharing. You can share with the elders, you can share with the imams, and then we come together and just like celebrate and then share the experiences. So that brings people out, and also at the same time getting access to other services. So we are in all together. We have to work with main services, making meaningful partnership with other organizations. We come together, that's informal, and chat, and then when people break a barrier coming to you, that's when they can disclose, or they can say, look, I need help, or what can I do, this is happening. my son is running away, but how can I? Because even the way we talk to our children when they are growing up teenagers, sometimes we are rough, sometimes but make them friends, then you share, and then, not to say they won't run away, but at least they have a ground, then they always come back. So if we all working together, we can make a change. And I'm there. And I have some flyers. I also have sent it to Micheline. If you want to contact me, I'm available. And the people are here. But even just a chat. So, but working with the communities and sharing and having confidence in people. Don't just go out and share with anybody, but because once you develop relationship and trust and breaking that barrier, that's what I'm talking about. Thank you.